Good evening and welcome to fiscal year 2023 budget discussion meetings. This is the Ways and Means Committee of the Greenfield City Council. Today is Thursday, April 21st, 2022. It is 6:01 p.m. I'd like to welcome everybody here this evening and call the meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded and videotaped by the Ways and Means Committee and GCTV 15. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Okay, we'll do a roll call. Councilor Jarvis.
Here.
Councilor Jasorga.
Here.
Councilor Toronto.
Here.
Councilor Healy. Okay, and I am Councilor Forgy, and we have a quorum. At least we have 4 out of our 5 members. There are no approval of minutes. There is no public hearing, and there are no motions for us to consider tonight. So we will go ahead and start with the mayor's proposed fiscal year 2023 budget. We have some departments that we'd like to hear from this evening. The first department on our agenda is Economic Development and Marketing, but I understand that that is rescheduled to April 27th. The next department on the list is the Accounting Department, and I don't know if our city accountant is here this evening. If she is not, then Liz, can you help us?
I certainly can.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Start out with the staffing in the accounting office.
Thank you.
There are 2 NRs, the Director of Municipal Finance and the city accountant. Then there are 2 clerical positions. One is part-time in payroll, 30 hours a week. The other clerical is full-time, but they're split. So in other words, they're like 0.8 in accounting, and then the other 0.2, they're helping procurement, central services. So that is the number of staffing in this particular budget. What I will say is the department is kind of in flux right now for next year. We will be hiring a director of finance, and we also are looking to make efficiencies in biweekly payroll. So there's going to be some changes. So what I did was I budgeted my position at the current level, the city accountant at $86,750, the payroll person at $39,899, and the AP person at $30,603. But then I did a to be determined reduction because we will have a new person who likely will come in at a different rate. And we're looking at these efficiencies that we hope are to achieve. So the mayor and the new director will look at this and analyze it. And as we hire someone, we'll see how it plays out, I guess is the best way to put it. So there is a $19,500 reduction line that's to be determined.
Okay.
It's the best way I could do it without knowing who's going to be in the position. Other than that, in the expense side, the largest expense is in the Munis software maintenance.
Okay.
And that's a 3% increase. And I do work with Munis and get that number from them.
Mhm.
Other than that, it's school, training, membership, small amount for supplies. So really the largest item on the expenditure side is the Munis software support.
Thank you. Liz, you said that the to be determined piece
Yes.
has to do with some reorganization pieces, some efficiency pieces, and with the new person coming in. But can I ask what your current salary is, please?
Oh, sure. Oh, no, I thought I said that. I'm sorry. I had said the city accountant was 86,750, and what I have in there for the director is 127,848.
Thank you so much. I will open this up to Ways and Means if there are any questions that anybody has. These budgets are relatively straightforward budgets. The only thing we have to keep in mind is that there are contractual obligations that have to be honored, and those will certainly raise the salary and wage line item. But as we go through this, I don't see any of the other line items that jump out as being huge increases. There really is nothing there to put towards increases in these other line items.
Yeah.
So are there any questions from Ways and Means right now?
These are, sorry, Councilor Forgy.
Go ahead, Councilor Treasurer.
Just with a lot of the information crisscrossing and not being able to keep necessarily everything totally straight, is this department represented?
Liz is.
There's
Liz,
two not representatives.
Okay.
And 2 clerical union positions that are
Okay.
one is part-time and the other is full-time but split between central services and accounting.
Okay.
And you'll see that when we get to central services.
Yeah, it's like flipping from one page to the other, trying to keep every department in check.
I totally
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Okay, if Ways and Means has no questions, we'll move on to our next department, which is legal. And again, I think that Liz will be the one that'll guide us through this presentation. What I really wanted to know, I see the separation of different legal expenses. For instance, the legal for labor versus the city legal. Are these different attorneys?
Yes.
And do we keep?
The mayor may want to speak to this.
Okay, that's perfectly fine.
Let the mayor.
Okay, great.
Good evening, folks. Everybody's awake, right? For at
We
least
are.
another half hour.
We are.
Okay, good. Good for us. Yeah, we employ 2 law firms. Doherty, Wallace, and Pillsbury are the legal for everything that isn't labor. And Sullivan and Quinn, who we've had for many years.
Mhm.
Gordon Quinn is the labor attorney. He is assisted by a man by the name of Brendan Hughes. So we're either talking to Gordon or we're talking to Brendan Hughes. I don't think their names appear there, but just in case correspondence comes your way or something.
Could you say that last name again? Did you say Brendan?
Brendan is the first name. Hughes, Hughes, I believe, is
Okay.
the last name.
Okay.
And then Jesse Belcher-Timmy is our lead attorney for Doherty, Wallace, and Pillsbury. But there are other attorneys in that firm who one does real estate for us, a man by the name of Greg Schmidt, and a woman by the name of Rose Crowley as a general rule. So.
Is that also the attorneys you just mentioned? Are they the ones that are doing tax title?
No.
No, no. And oh, I cannot remember her name. Do you remember, Liz?
You know what? That would have been a Kelly question because she does deal with them
It would have
directly.
been. I mean,
So
I
the-
can get it. If you need it, I can get it
I
for
can,
you.
yeah.
I did a lot of it, but off the top of my head, it's funny. I said the same thing when we were doing the Stone Ridge. I was like, who is this person that calls herself an attorney for us who I've never heard of? So, yeah.
Okay, is that from a different firm as well?
Yes,
Okay,
it is. She may be self-employed. She does tax type,
okay.
period, as I recall her, and certainly other tax things. But for us, it's primarily tax title.
My only other question about this is that are these, when I see a number, say, town attorney services, 100,000, that is the retainer, or is that the contracted amount and then all the other things fall in place after that? Do we pay extra, I guess is the easiest way of saying it.
Well, that's thank you for that question, and Liz may have some insight. I honestly don't know the answer to that. The town attorney is Belcher Timmy, Jesse Belcher Timmy of Doherty, Wallace, and Pillsbury, and a name I can't remember that begins with an M. And they are on retainer. I don't know if that was an aggregate that we put in there or not. That 100,000 does not seem to be a number that's popping into my head right away. So
Okay,
it could be an aggregate of, over time, however much, whether it's monthly or quarterly or whatever. My recollection of the contract is they bill as we use services.
Correct.
okay,
Yeah, so
thank you.
there could be a number. We probably, we probably analyze the end result of every bill, and put in a one fee into the budget.
I can tell you that the tax title attorney is Iris Leahy.
There you go. That's right.
Leahy.
Okay. Members of Ways and Means, do you have questions on our legal line items?
I do, Chris.
Okay, go right ahead, please.
So if as you were to follow up on Councilor Forge's question, if the budget for the operations for legal isn't solely a retainer, it seems to have some consistency across the last, well, I guess this is only 2 years, for both labor and the it says town attorney, I should say city attorney, right? Would that be a good assumption that we didn't go over that with the amount that we spent? So therefore, it was kind of just put at a stable line of, all right, well, maybe some years prior we had gone over, but we may not have this year. So that's like a fair assumption to let's just keep it where it's at, in hopes that we won't go over that again.
I would say yes. Now I do know that because we were in negotiations for the better part of 21 and early 22, I don't know where that end figure for Gordon Quinn and or Brendan Hughes. Brendan Hughes handled the pay equity study that actually was started before I got there, but finished when I got there. So that would have been 20. But I would say that's correct. That it's a safe assumption that as a general rule, we spend $100,000 here or in whatever that says, because I don't have it up front of me right now.
Right. Is there, I mean, I just didn't know if it would be helpful to, if we had any kind of information on what portion of that was a retainer up front, and then kind of, not to say, I mean, doesn't have to go way back or anything, but maybe like a couple 3-year average of what is typically utilized for either and or both of these, branches of legal services.
Actually, we did do that. Oh, one summer we went through all the legal because it was a question. So I think we can pick up from there,
Yeah.
like just continue from where it was,
Okay.
and send that to you. And you, as you can imagine, on the labor side, you just don't know. Sometimes.
Some years bigger than others. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because he covers it. I will say this about Sullivan and Quinn. They are the premier labor attorneys in the valley here. When I talked to Doherty, Wallace, and Pillsbury and asked them to come on board, I said, it's up to you. I know you do. They do land use zoning very well, but they are also extremely good with general municipal. And I said, does that include labor? And they said, no, you have Sullivan and Quinn, stay with them. So we've been with them for a very long time, and they're very good. Councilor Forgy is nodding her head, so I have to
Yes.
believe it was way back.
Yes, they were our labor attorneys way back, and they
Yeah.
they continue to be excellent.
Yeah. And so they handle all, they help us. I will say we did our best through the union negotiations to work with the HR director and Chief of Staff Danielle Letourneau, and Gordon would assist when we thought we were in a thorny place. So we used him a lot during that period because it was, all the different unions that we have. It wasn't just one or two here and there. And we used him a lot, but sparingly, let me put it that way. And so, but he also handles other labor disputes, impact bargaining, different things. I'm happy to say we don't have a lot of that right now, and haven't since I got there. But and then we do, and that's Liz, tell me that the Maya charge is not reflected in that, is it?
No, not at all. So if it gets to the point where there's a potential for, let's say, a settlement or something, and our insurance company, Maya, will get involved and they will take over. Because it's they will ultimately be paying whatever. We would end up paying a deductible.
Sure.
So that's not reflected in that amount. That's covered, that we pay an insurance premium for.
Sure.
And so it would be, we are members of Maya, which is not the traditional spelling. It's MIIA. Oh gosh, Massachusetts interlocutor.
Interlocal insurance.
Yeah, right. There we go. But they are the people that would handle like an MCAD, a Mass Commission on Discrimination suit. They would handle workers' compensation. They do all of that. And we pay for that as part of our quote unquote insurance bill.
Okay. Anybody else on Ways and Means? Okay, I'd like to ask our committee. We did invite department heads if they wanted to come and speak with us this evening, and we do have some that are here. And I wonder if you would be willing to go out of order on this agenda. We could suspend the rules and go out of order so that we can talk to the department heads that are here this evening and are waiting very patiently. I have a feeling the bulk of this conversation about these budgets will be with Liz and the mayor. Is everybody in agreement with that?
I'll make a motion that we suspend
Okay.
the rules.
I'll second
Okay,
that.
okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. All right, so having said that, we are next up, and it is our technology department. Welcome, Fernando. Fernando Fleury is our IT guy, and we're very pleased to welcome you this evening. And been reading up in this report about everything that you do, and it's pretty amazing. So thank you. And if you'd like to tell us about your budget, we'd love to hear from you.
Sure. First of all, thank you for inviting me, counselors. But I'm basically here to answer any questions you might have.
I have
Well,
one.
okay, go ahead, Ginny.
So I see actually your bottom line on wages decreased this year from last year to this year. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, we actually we cut a position there. It was never staffed. I had it for last year, but I was not able to get a staff, so it was cut.
Okay, so how many people are you working with then?
We are lean and mean, 3 of us.
Okay, 3 full-time employees?
Yes.
Okay, and you're able to function okay with that?
I am very lucky to have a highly dedicated group, and we work really well, and they are really hard workers. So I am really lucky. It's tough sometimes, especially with the big projects that are coming up with the library and the fire station, but yeah, we do the best we can.
And my last question is, do you have any overlap now with the school technology?
So yes and no. So the nice thing about with the new superintendent coming in is that we have decided to start combining forces in order to be able to leverage, economy of scale. For example, we're going to go together and go out to bid for the copiers for both the city and school. So I'm working on that with them. The city is also highly technical, and we know about cameras and access control systems. So we'll help them with that piece as well. Not do the work, but at least help them with the architecture and some of our experience around that. So that's actually really good, because being able to combine forces in some of this is the beginning. I think that we can do more in the future. I think it's going to be good for the city.
I do, Liz, I do see
Yeah.
Liz.
Okay,
Colin,
thank you.
go ahead.
Why we have Fernando here. There is some overlap between IT and central services, so I just want Fernando to talk about that between copiers, because the expense is actually in central services, yet it's IT related, and also cell phones. So why I have him here, he knows more about that than I. So if you have any questions on that, it's in the central services budget, the copiers and phones and cell phones.
Yes, that's correct. Even though copiers, cell phones, a few other items that are in central services are not in my budget, I manage them. So yeah, if you have any questions around that, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you. I do have a couple of questions. Can you update us on progress with the John Zahn Center and making that a hybrid piece?
Yes, so we finally received the last piece of equipment. I could go grab it and show it to you right now, but I'll go off camera. So right now we're scheduled to actually we got it a couple of weeks ago. George Central Maine is always really busy. We needed to schedule some time with their electricians to get some wire run. But so long story short, on the 27th, actually next week, we're working on getting the equipment set up and configured. Right? It's already engineered, so it's really about putting it together, testing, and then training. So my goal is to have it ready to go by mid-month of next month.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we also already have a Zoom room built at the town hall,
Right.
conference room. We're just cleaning up some of the details on it, and we're gonna get staff trained, so we'll be good to go with that as well.
Wasn't I the first guinea pig on that?
You were.
I was.
Yeah, it was actually, yeah, you were the first real meeting. Yes, it was you.
Yeah, that's what I
think
thought.
it
We
was-
had an interview scheduled and
Right.
partook in the interview remotely.
Yeah. So there was one day we were testing. I was just inviting people around the city to see if they could join in and see if it works. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Very good.
It was
Very good.
great.
Very good.
Any other questions for Fernando? I do want to go back, if I may. I'd like to know if you know, or if someone knows, what the breakdown of those full-time salaries are within your department.
The current one, so obviously we're talking about next year. Yes, so I do know them.
Okay,
So the director is 111, then the network administrator is 75, and the desktop server support is 58.
okay. That's fabulous. Thank you very much.
So if you have anything on central services, I can also speak on that.
Okay. Hang on just a minute. I have to.
I wrote down the page numbers tonight so I could go back and forth.
Right. It would be
I really should have done that.
Page
97, 98. Right.
I'm really high tech. I use this.
I did have a question about the item that talked about contracted for new city website. Is that what we're using right now, or are we planning on getting a new website?
We are in the process of building a new website. Yes.
Okay.
I can't make my thumb large enough to express my excitement.
Yeah. And I can't really take full credit for that. A lot of the work is being done by the mayor's office and department heads, of course, because it's their pages.
Okay. Excellent. That's good to know. And is there a estimated time of target time?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
We're trying,
Very
yeah, we're
good.
trying July, but we're trying to get it going. We're trying for July, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So I don't want to give you a time because I really can't tell you.
Okay. Well, thank you anyway. Any more questions for our IT director? Okay. I'm not hearing any. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to be with us this evening and answering our questions. It helps us a lot as we deliberate. Thank you.
You're welcome anytime.
Okay, we're moving to, I see our building director, Mark Snow, here this evening. So I'd like to go to him next and talk about his group. Building inspector, it also includes other pieces as well. So Mark, if you would be so kind as to walk us through all of this, we'd be very appreciative.
Yes. Good evening, counselors, and thank you for this opportunity to speak with you regarding the budgets. I do have 3 budgets to discuss tonight. The first one being the inspections department. You will see that there is a increase in the inspections department, and the majority of that increase is due to salaries. Currently, in the department, there's the commissioner, which is myself. There's the DEC coordinator, office staff. And those 2 positions are filled currently. And then we have a local inspector's position that is vacant currently. We have been trying to hire a new local inspector, but unfortunately, we have not been successful up to this point in time. So the increase in the salary line item this year is to cover the contractual agreement between the employees in the union and the city. There's also an increase in the local inspector's position to help the department and city to be able to recruit and retain a trained individual as a local inspector. We've been hearing that our pay is low. So in an effort to help resolve that issue, there has been an increase put into the local inspector's position. In addition to that, I've actually made a request for a part-time local inspector. This position will mainly focus on periodic inspections on existing buildings. This position is based on a 22.5-hour work week, and it does fall under the SSEA union unit. There is also an increase in the longevity pay this year as well. Those are the big increase out of the budget. The other line items, there's minimal increases in some of those line items have remained level funded.
Okay. Can you, or maybe Liz at this point, can you break down those salaries?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that'd be great.
The commissioner's position is 81,100. The local inspector's position would be 55,000. And the DEC coordinator will be 48,300. And then longevity pay will be 2,700, I believe.
That's okay. I understand that that's contractual. So you did mention that you are requesting a part-time local inspector for periodic inspections.
Yes.
Was that funded in this budget?
Yes. That
Okay.
was presented to the mayor, and she approved it and has forwarded the budget as presented to her.
Okay, so that's the 31.5 that we're seeing.
Yes, and that part-time position is at 31,500. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Ways and Means members, do you have any questions for Mark? Ginny?
Hi, Mark. So I have a couple of questions. So the part-time position is vacant still, correct?
The part-time position, yes.
And the other, the one that's 55, is that vacant, or have we filled that?
That's vacant as well.
Okay. And I confess my ignorance here. I should know this. What is DEC? I don't know what
Department
it's.
Enforcement Coordinator.
Okay. Probably everybody else knew that, but I thought of that. So I have
That's a good
another.
question.
I didn't know. I just didn't know who that was. You have one revolving, and you're in charge of your revolving account also. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in your revolving, it says the building department. It's the spending limit is 20,000 for building department expenses. And it closes to the general fund. How has that been running? Like, how much do those expenses cost you over the past few years?
In the past, it's varied because of the permit software that we were using. That with our new permit software, that is, so with the old permit software, it was hard to know exactly what to budget because it was based on permit fees. The new permit software is a fixed rate, and I do not have know that off the top of my head. And Liz may be able to speak more about the revolving account as well.
Right. Jimmy, Counselor DeSorger, is correct in stating it closes to the general fund. What that means is when I send you the revenue report, you'll see building inspection permits, building permits, electrical permits, or electrical inspections, excuse me, and plumbing. Those don't get populated until it closes to the general fund. So it's really a local receipt. It's a revolving fund that at the end of the year populates the part of the local receipts, the building permits, the electrical inspections, and plumbing inspections.
Mhm.
So there's another one like that. I'm just
Right. So, but have we been spending that?
let me pull that up.
That's what I meant. So we close that to the general fund and it has a spending limit of 20,000.
Correct. Let's see, that's about 10. We're at least spending over 10 of that.
Okay.
And if it isn't spent, it closes to the general fund.
Exactly. I
yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Counselor Jarvis.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And yourself?
Tired. we all got toothpicks in our eyes tonight, but we're pretending we're awake. So I just like to say that for the people out there listening and for other city councilors, that when I was the code enforcement guy and the deputy chief, you had 3 people in your department. You had yourself, another full-time, and a part-time, also inspector. And you guys were still busier than a one-iron paper hanger. I don't see how you're doing it by yourself. I wish you luck. But it's fair to, I just want to, would it be fair to say that the part-time guy would be doing all the liquor inspections, the rental house inspections that people have been complaining about that they haven't been done yet, or we're falling behind. We're falling behind because you're one person show right now, trying to do what 3 people did basically.
That's correct.
So okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there so people knew that what's going on. I know sometimes when I call you for an inspection, it's like, I understand, get here when you can, and I know you do the best that you can. I really appreciate that, and I just wish you luck. Who knows, you might even have to increase that bottom line a little bit to entice people to come. So I wish you luck, and I hope you find people to fill those positions soon.
Thank you. And yes, just to answer your question, yes, the part-time inspector's primary responsibilities will be the periodic inspections on existing buildings. We'll also be working on vacant and foreclosing properties as well, which is one item we have not been able to administer and enforce because of the short staff. So.
Counselor Toronto.
Just if you, I mean, I know this is kind of a weird question, but other than possibly the as you mentioned, our bottom line being a little bit low, as you've heard, maybe has there been any other reasons that you might postulate as to why the positions are hard to fill?
Well,
Or seemingly hard.
In order to become a building official in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, they have to be certified.
Right.
And if they're not certified, they have to get pre-approval through the state to take the exams to become certified. So if we have an applicant that comes to us that is not certified, that applicant would actually have to file his paperwork with the state. The board certification committee, they would review that at one of their meetings, and they would make the determination whether the individual is eligible to become certified as a building official. So there is requirements, there is criteria that has to be met in order to become certified as a building official. So that makes it a little bit harder because a contractor out in the field can make more money as a contractor than they can as an inspector. So, but we try to work with individuals to help them become certified. We help them through the process in however we can, and we like to see them succeed.
Thanks. That was actually kind of the secondary part of that question, was if we had, recognizing kind of what you were talking about, if there was kind of like a path, like an intermediary path for us as a municipality to bridge that gap between, you know, the private sector and the public sector, on why, even though in certain instances, like you said, it might be a pay cut, some people might be looking for a different type of work schedule, maybe not having to do so much of the backbreaking contractor work, and get more into utilizing the knowledge that they've gained throughout. And so then, yeah, it was more or less, and I think you answered it, was it sounds like there is a path to steering the right candidates into the right potential candidates that might not have the right, you know, licensing or so to speak, or they have the qualifications but haven't gone through the course yet. But that's good to know that we have a path for them to be able to fill the shoes of that position using their experience.
Yes, and I'd just like to mention that, you know, Greenfield is not the only community that's having problems filling the positions for inspectors. Other communities are feeling the same pain. So when we do get somebody certified and good at their job, it doesn't take long for another community to hire them away from us, which we've experienced in the past.
Well, that way, I mean, I don't know if that would be a question as to, is there a way we could, I don't know, kind of contractually agree? It almost like, you know, I know a lot of tractor trailer schools ran into this before, where some people would go in, get the training, work for 6 months and take off, and then go get, you know, a higher paid job at a different place, utilizing the skills they learned and got paid for. And not that I want it to be a deterrent for people to try to work with our municipality, but I don't even know if that's within our purview of being able to tie it.
To an extent, our DPW director is dealing with this with the CDL requirements now,
Right.
and Marlo can speak to that
Right.
if you want. But basically, you can say that they have to pay you back for the training and exam, but other than that, you
Right.
can't make people stay.
Sure.
Um,
I just know things get like different between like what a private company could require you to do and what the public might be able to. So I didn't know where our hands, how far our hands could reach on that aspect.
Any more questions? Oh, Marlo, did you want to comment?
Yeah, I didn't know if you'd like me to comment on the CDL.
Sure.
We have struck agreements with the unions. I think I had spoken earlier, in an earlier meeting about how I was able to get the DPW yard as a training facility, but we've also struck agreements in agreement with the union. It can be done different ways, as far as an employee agreeing and signing off on staying for a certain amount of time once we provide that CDL license to them, whether it be an escalating downward monetary amount per month or a time frame after receiving the license. So A lot of police departments have that in place also when they send off to academies and so on and so forth. So I don't want to muddy the waters for anybody, but Mark, if you want to reach out, I may be able to be helpful in HR and helping you in a situation like that, or anyone else that has to provide a certification that takes an exuberant amount of money or time. So thank you.
Okay, anybody else on Ways and Means? Any questions for Mark Snow? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. I don't know, should we call you commissioner or should we call you director?
The title is commissioner.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Snow. We appreciate you being here with us this evening. It's valuable to have your input, and I wish you a very good evening.
Thank you. Would you like me to mention the other two budgets?
Yes, if you would, that would be
Under the
great.
inspection? Okay. The second budget is the weights and measures. This is a contract agreement between the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the City of Greenfield. The amount has been the same for several years, and there's been no change. The inspectors from the Commonwealth, they come out, they conduct the inspections, and then our office invoices the businesses and collects the fees for that. So that's pretty much a straightforward contractual agreement between the Commonwealth and the City of Greenfield. If there's no questions on that one, I will go to the third and last.
Okay.
Okay. The third one is the Cog Inspection Program. This is a contractual agreement between the county inspections program and the City of Greenfield. This is for electrical, plumbing, and gas inspections. The city collects and administers the permits and the fees. The county supplies the inspectors to conduct the inspections. The amount is the same this coming year as it is currently.
Any questions?
So that the last year, I have a question on that. Last
Sure.
year it was 96,450, and this year it says 98,367.
I'm sorry, I was mistaken. There is a slight increase. I apologize.
Okay.
Yes,
Very good. Thank you very much.
I just saw that. Thank you for correcting me.
Oh, no, that's okay. Thank you for all you do. We know how hard you work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I was a little premature before. If there's no more questions, we'll wish you a good evening, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
thank you for all that you folks do as well.
Thank you very much. Okay. So I don't see any more folks, city employees that are here to talk about their budgets. So we can, I would like to just go back where we left off, which was human resources. Is that okay with everybody in our group? Okay. I wish we did have the HR director here to talk, but who will do so in her place?
No fall on that sword.
Does anybody want to volunteer? Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Let's start it off that way with Ways and Means. Is there anything that you have read in this report and you'd like a little bit more clarification on it? Okay, so my major questions are always, actually, the first item on page 81, the first bullet, talked about 2 HR staff departing. So I'd like to know how many HR staff there are, and then, of course, the salary questions.
Okay, I'm just printing this off so I can see it.
Okay,
Counselor Forgy,
yes.
the mayor is back.
Okay, thank you.
Probably helped you as well. Between
Okay.
Liz and I, we can make sense of this. So just to say again, you HR staff, there is the director, and depending on, this is the part I can't remember. She had one employee. She's done a lot of hiring recently, but not new positions filling old positions. So she has 3 staff people, a benefits coordinator, a clerk, and an HR generalist. So it's 4 people.
Correct.
Okay.
Let me think. This is where I think 3 out of the 4. I'm not sure about Shannon. Maybe an NR. I think
They're
3
all
out of
others. They're all
they're
in.
all they're all in a union, either an F
No.
or no, all clerical.
They're all NR.
They're all in
The nature of the office.
Yes.
That is correct. That is correct.
And can you break down those salaries for me?
Yes. I'm just gonna pull this over. HR director, 86,407. The HR generalist, 49,475. The HR assistant, 46,800. And the benefits coordinator, 45,001. And that's the salaries.
Thank you.
If I may, Chris?
Yes, go ahead, please.
I was just going to ask if you happen to know, and I don't, this is just completely naive, but inquisitive. Do we know what the one labor agreement that wasn't successfully bargained for? Only because it was in there, and it listed 7 of 8 were successful. I didn't know if there was any backstory to that. I definitely wasn't aware of or privy to that at the time, so I just didn't know if anybody had any insight on that.
Are you looking at your budget and the narrative?
Page 81, it does say that. It's bulleted, 3 down. It did also, there was mention made, let me see here.
Oh, the remaining, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
The Superior Officers Association, it was still a pending thing, is that what it was?
Yes.
It's small. At the time the budget book was presented, we had not ratified that contract.
But it has been since?
And I can't remember which one it was. Just give me a moment here.
Is it the Greenfield Superior Officers Association?
Yes, I was going to say it was part of I think you're correct. Yes.
Please. I'm recognizing that I was reading those as 2 separate things versus it almost seeming like one had failed to be completed versus it hadn't been completed yet. So that was
not been complete. You were correct. It had not been completed yet. They were late to the party. Took us a while to get that party scheduled and get them in front of us. But I think it was done within a couple of days.
So for clarification, these are the higher ranking officers in the police department. Is that correct?
Tell me the name again.
The Greenfield Superior Officers Association, Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 50.
That's entirely possible. That's one that, as I say, was negotiated pretty much over the course of a couple of days. I wasn't part of it. If you need that information, I'll be happy to get it to you by tomorrow.
I'm yeah.
Because I do.
I'm suspecting that's what it is, are the
Yeah,
top ranking
I think so
officers.
by the title of it, yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions on HR?
I have a question. So HR does I think we have 17 unions. Is that correct?
7. Well, we don't do the teacher the school negotiations. The
Right.
school department does the school negotiations.
Okay.
Yeah. So that doesn't even sound like it's the right number, 17, even with that. But we do not take part in that.
Okay.
And
Got it.
I am not a member of the negotiating subcommittee for the school committee.
Thank you.
But our units are 8.
Okay. No more further questions. We'll move on. We are now with licensing. And it's actually very simple budget. And I'm thinking that Lori Krikorian is still in the licensing department. Is that right? Yeah.
Nothing
Okay.
has changed, Chris.
Okay. No, she came on board when I was in office. So
Yeah.
does anybody have any questions? It is rather straightforward. It did talk about the accomplishments from the licensing commission that happened during the year.
Yeah.
And the position itself is 0.8 FTE. So I know it's a benefited position.
She's a department of 1.
Right.
She does an extraordinary amount of work, and she works very closely with Chief of Staff Letourneau, because it really is all about licensing, and the two of them assist the licensing board or commission or whatever they call themselves, Board of Licensing, I believe.
Okay, if there's no questions or comments from Ways and Means, we'll move on to the planning department. Again, there's a couple of questions. If does anybody have any questions, instead of me jumping in before you need to go first and ask your questions. So does anybody have any? All right, well, I'll jump in. There is a line item in the planning department budget, which is planning consultant services, which is greatly reduced. I'm not complaining about the reduction, but I just want to know why.
I'm trying to think back to my meeting with Eric. There are years when the city needs to use a lot of consultants in planning. It could be over a zoning issue, it could be over a particular project, etc. And it could be COVID related that we just haven't had to do that. And it was a way for him to reduce his budget. If you'll recall from those guidelines that I gave you, that I sent out in an email yesterday, I believe, that they were asked to level fund. And Eric's always really good about trying to figure out ways that not only level fund, but do I really need to spend this money this year? So, but I don't recall any specific conversation with him about why there was a reduction.
I just looked, and I can see a large amount last year was to the FERCog for the open space plan.
Okay, okay, thank you. And then my usual question is, are there one or two FTEs in this department who, what does the staffing look like?
It is Eric, and who is full-time, and it is the conservation agent. I'm just getting to my page here. It's the director, it's the full-time conservation agent, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And how do the
He
salaries break down?
wanted to bring on this year a assistant planning director. That was one of the positions, the new positions that had to be cut when I had to cut the budget.
Okay,
So it is just the two of them.
and is there a salary number for each of them?
Director, 76,156. Conservation officer, just over 50,000. I believe it's, wait a minute, 9. He does his a little differently. 58,98.
58.
Um,
8. So the requested for 2023 would be quickly, not that my math brain is in gear tonight, would be close to that 127,690, and yet the recommended is 104. What does that mean? Is there another funding source that's being used for the conservation agent?
no, I
Don't
think
believe-
the mayor had cut a position that was
Yes,
requested.
that's what I'm saying. I cut a position.
Okay, thank you.
So does that mean there's only 1.5 positions essentially? Right? Is it still just Eric and the part-time?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it will be going forward. Let me put it that way for your FY23.
Right.
He's part-time, but he does have benefits.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions? All right, we'll move along. This is central services, which we've touched on prior. I didn't know if anybody else has any questions. Again, it's basic. This is, first of all, procurement. And then, and then central maintenance. So if anybody's got any questions, please.
So
Council Jasorga.
on central services, is there one person in that? Is that the procurement person?
That is the procurement person, and then one of the accounting staff technically one day a week, does some administrative clerical work for that, such as when we open bids and that sort of thing, assist with that. So yeah, there used to be 2 time at one point.
Audrey and Phil.
Yep.
And my second question is, I see the copy, there's a $20,000 increase in the copy machine. Did we have to buy a new copy machine or?
So that's why I wanted Fernando to talk.
That crossover was very weird.
So they are going to do a big copy lease. We have a combination of copiers we own and copiers we lease, and the ones we own are really old and need to be replaced. And people you don't buy copiers anymore. You lease them. So it's a smarter move because they pay the maintenance, they pay for your toner. The cost per copy is much lower. and you get the latest technology as well.
Not the
So
greatest service.
that's the increase, because you would have either gone out and had to replace all these copiers and buy them, but we're leasing them, and plus, and Fernando would be more eloquent at this, but we're also going to more. He's replacing printers with these copiers as well. So they're copier / printers. Folks are printing to them instead of having an individual. So he's also eliminating some on his side. So that is the largest increase in that budget.
And central services has 1 FTE.
1 FTE and a 0.2 from the accounting office.
Okay.
She helps basically 1 day a week
Okay.
with administrative clerical. Yeah.
Okay. And is that oh my goodness, I can't think of his name.
No, it's Laura. It's not a he. Bill's gone.
No, I thought, oh, wait a minute now. Hang on just a second. I'm very sorry. I apologize. Thank you. I'm very sorry about that. I thought it was somebody else. So my apologies to Laura.
No, that's right. I bet you were thinking central maintenance.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay.
Which, which is something that we can look at next.
Well, that's Marlowe's department,
Okay.
part of his budget.
Okay.
So isn't he up next week?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Central services and procurement and central maintenance. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I see the confusion though with the IT crossing over to
It is.
central services. It seems like a very weird mix of two very different things.
So the issue is, as you can imagine, with all the copier, it's more the administrative work on all those copiers and phones and all that. And the problem is Fernando doesn't have that in his office.
Right.
And so it's finding a home for it. And since Laura would do, it's trying to combine everybody's phones, everybody's copiers, and she would be doing the procurement for them.
Right.
That's kind of why it ended up there.
As he's doing the tech for it, right?
No, she's not doing tech work.
No, I said as he's doing the tech for it, right?
Yeah.
No, and he assists in advising.
Specifications and yeah.
Contracts.
Right.
Okay. If we have no further questions, we'll move on. We've already spoken to the building inspector, and I see that Jennifer Hoffman has joined us, and I want to say good evening and thank you for being here with us. We are interested in hearing about your general operating budget. Anything you want to talk to us about, please let us know what's going on. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. There is not much new to really report on my operating budget this year. I kept it pretty level. The bigger ask I had is more for office supplies. We need a lot more stuff because we have a lot more people working in our department. I have a part-time public health nurse who pretty much works full-time. I have 2 full-time inspectors and myself. And due to increasing of public health works, not only COVID, but we have baby programs, other vaccination programs. We have folders that we need to have locked and kept private. So our office expenditures in general have gone up. I did slightly my legal expenses did stay the same. I did increase our academic money. Since there's more people in the department, we still have to get some CMEs and continuing education credits. And the same with uniforms. We all have to order new uniforms. So overall, I did not go up significantly in my budget.
Okay, thank you. I'm opening it up to members of Ways and Means. Do you have questions for our health director?
I do, Councilor Forgy.
Please, Councilor Sorga, go ahead.
Okay, so, hi, how are you? I just had a question on, you have a revolving account also in the health department. Fees, revenues generated by nursing services. And it has in it 10,000 that closes to the general fund. And I was just wondering, is that like every year? Do you get a lot for different? I didn't actually realize that there were fees that were associated with the things. Is that something that you get about 10,000? How does that work? Just tell me a little bit about that. If you,
I think our general fund is money that we bring into the department every year, and then that gets allocated to us. Those fees are usually from permit fees, any fines that people have to pay, any services that we give out, like medical stuff. And that money basically gets, if we make more, it goes to the city, and then we get allocated $10,000 or so. I think. Give me one sec.
okay. And the funds used for nursing services expenses.
Nursing services expenses is basically supplies that the nurse does use, such as for the first-time mothers, we buy diapers and like first-time mother type of things and breastfeeding supplies. We also are working on menstruation equity. So we make sure that we have menstruation products in our department in case girls need them, especially because we're across from the middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of children can't afford those supplies. We also have dental supplies, first aid supplies. So a lot of our medical expenses comes from there. Sometimes we have vaccines. We had the flu vaccine, it came from there. So a lot of our money comes from nursing.
Thank you very much, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Counselor.
Are there more questions? Okay, well, I'm going to ask my usual questions if I may. I just wanted to, I think I heard you say that you, in your department, you have a part-time public nurse. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you have 2 full-time inspectors?
Correct.
Okay. And then you're a full-time position?
Correct.
Okay, great. The inspectors, the full-time inspectors, can you just give us a little detail as to what they actually do?
Absolutely. So the health department in general doesn't have a clerk any longer. So just so everyone's aware, we all divide up filing, phones, any office duties, copying, faxing, scanning. So we basically do that amongst ourselves. But in general, including myself, we do a variety of inspections. We do restaurant inspections. If there's festivals, like tomorrow there's a big festival, we have vendor food truck inspections. We have Title V and percolation tests and septic system repairs. We have multiple housing issues and concerns. And then basic nuisance, noise, other various types of complaints and investigative things that the health department has to get involved in. We do a lot more social service in our department. We try to get other services for people such as food stamps, any other type of services they may need, and hook them up with social service agencies. And we all do that together. Ruben Arroyo, he's our newest inspector. He does predominantly housing. Nicole Glayback, she does a lot of restaurants in Title V. Myself, I write grants, I do Title V's, recreation camps, pools, housing, restaurants.
She's leaving out the barns.
And the barns and barn inspections, we just finished them.
She comes to my
Yes.
office and she says, "I'm sorry, I smell like a barn."
Those are the best inspections, the best.
Okay, well, I'm not going there. My only question at this point is, can you break down the salaries for the staff in your office?
Yes, let me get there again. Hold on. So, part-time is Megan. She is the person that is making about, I would say 43,000, and that's with the step-up increase. I personally I will be making, I think, $71,000 or $72,000. And my other inspectors, I am not certain, but I would say if someone's making about 50,000 and 40,000 approximately.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right. Jennifer, I really very much appreciate everything that you've done for Greenfield and your department as well, and all the other people that have rallied around, stepped up to the plate in regard to COVID and dealing with it in our community. And also, the everyday things that, that people don't see until it becomes a problem for them. And then, they're on the phone to your office. But appropriate maintenance and inspection maintenance and things like that go a long way. So we're all very appreciative. We thank you very much for your hard work.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for being with us this evening. And I hope the rest of the evening goes quietly for you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you all. Have a very good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So last but not least is our Veterans Department. And this was very interesting. There was a lot of information that was put through here. And again, I wish that our veterans agent was here with us to help us understand some of the things. There are all different kinds of programs and everything else in Greenfield. This particular one is through the city itself. And part of the work that is done is funded by the city, and some of it is reimbursed by the state. And there's always a delay in what the state is going to reimburse us for veterans. So it's a little tricky budget-wise sometimes. If anybody, again, my questions are always about the salary pieces. I don't see anything here that, looks out of place, or it seems like, some of the things are just very straightforward. The veterans benefits, the ordinary allowance, and the fuel, and the medical, and the burial, and dental, and those benefits are all, state pieces that we get reimbursed from. But we have to put the money up front and deal with the veterans issues at the time that they walk in seeking help, and then that is part of what happens to this operating budget. It comes back in on cherry sheet. So does anybody have any questions? Okay, so I'm just looking for salary information then.
Okay.
Hold on. You got it, Liz? I think
I
I
do.
can.
There's four
I can have
full-time. Four
There's
full-time.
4 full-time, okay.
Director, 76,399.
Yeah.
Veterans assistant, services assistant, 58,360. Veterans services officer, 45,747. And deputy director full-time, 57,794.
Okay, thank you. If I'm not mistaken as well, is there outreach into the other surrounding communities in regard to our city services?
Actually, there's a regional, and I don't know if the mayor wants to speak it, but there is a regional agreement where we assess other communities for providing these services.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's right.
for the-
And they do pay us, and that's reflected probably, not sure where it's reflected in your budget up without really studying this, but it is
It's
reflected
on your
there.
local receipts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not, if you were looking at a veterans budget page out of Munis, you wouldn't see it because it comes in on local receipts, but
Okay.
but they do, and some of that assistance is done out in the community, and some of it is literally done right there in the office on Main Street. They did have a, just in case you were looking, they do have a new lease, so it did increase a little bit this year by, looks like somewhere near $4,000 to $5,000. But I think that's his only increase. A small increase for police detail on Memorial Day.
Okay.
Councilor Forgy?
Yes, go ahead, Councilor.
And I mean, this may be completely a higher up the ladder question structurally is I was noticing that the amount in the last 8 years has dropped significantly, about $150,000. I didn't know, is that, I don't want to conjecture too much. Is that solely based on reflections from the kind of the top down, like the Fed down? Is that why we're seeing such a decrease in the amount being utilized?
Not well. He's budgeting closer to what is happening. But yes, I mean they do go out and try to make sure the veterans are receiving and applying for the benefits that they deserve. So I say across the board, I really, that's a question for Tim, whether he's seen less cases or not. I don't think so. I think COVID slowed it down a bit, but I don't think he's seen less cases.
Right. That's why my concern was, well, my inquiry was as to whether whether previous budgets were overshooting and then were being, more conservative as to the actual need or use, or whether or not this is being something that is, and I know there's, a lot of national talk as well about, there being an underfunding of services that, could or should be provided, especially in this particular realm. And so I didn't know if there was any kind of local insight into what obviously is an extrapolated idea or problem. I guess I would like to say problem, but rather than just an idea, it is a reality. So I just didn't know if there was any, for peace of mind locally, I guess was what I was looking for. I know that this is a maybe not specific to this part of the budget or anything like that, but something that affects a lot of folks and is on their minds a lot. So I didn't know if, and obviously, like you said, we don't have anybody right now to really speak to it, but
No, for folks that basically don't know that the ordinary benefits, it's their paycheck.
Yeah.
Literally.
Mhm.
So I wish Tim were here. Maybe he can send a response to you, if that's okay.
That'd be fine.
That'd be great.
All right.
Any insight would be great.
Yeah, if you would more clearly define what questions you want for Tim, I know he's
Sure.
going to be happy to answer those. So you can do it right now, and I can take you notes, or you can send me an email.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I guess I was more looking at seeing the downtrend from the graph that was provided from like around 2014, 2015, where the amount that was budgeted was significantly less, and so whether or not that was a reflection of over budgeting previously that didn't get the needs weren't there, so that it was brought down as a more conservative budget to match those needs, or whether or not that budget was only reduced due to where the funding would have been coming from, be it from state, federal sources.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I really think it was reduced, but I want Tim to answer the second piece.
Yeah.
About whether it was reduced. I don't believe it was reduced, but I think it's more on the numbers. I think it would be interesting to see the numbers
Right.
of veterans he's serving.
Yeah. So I can do a lot of speculating about the last couple of years and who can access veterans benefits and what went on the previous 4 years before that. But I think Liz is right. We'll try to answer that question from Tim for you.
Thank you.
At least even if on a more simplified level, if you will, a supply demand kind of way of looking at
Yeah. Well,
how
I
the
do
budget
know
was steered.
that he struggled through the pandemic to really reach out to veterans. And he did a lot of different things to get them into the office. It was difficult to go out during that time frame. So I think some of the adjustments that you see probably are still, even now in this FY23 pandemic related. But I will, we can check on that for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Okay. All right. So if there are no more questions, great. Does anybody have any other business they want to bring up tonight? Okay. I want to thank everybody who participated with us this evening. I also want to thank Ways and Means because, we're on a roll here. So I do appreciate you very much. And we have another meeting on April 25th, 2022, 6 p.m. via WebEx. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, DeSorger.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, I'm not opposed. I'm waving goodbye. Okay. Thank you all very much. The meeting closes at 7:29 p.m.
Good night,
Thank you.
all.
Good night.